Hi guys, Aaron here with Ghost Raptor Gaming and Guns. Now, the last gun review I did was for the Walther PPK. But is it the best gun in that form factor? That's a pretty good question. Today we're going to find out the answer. Because today I have the Bersa Thunder. Now, this is a 380 direct blowback pistol modeled almost directly after the Walther PPK. However, it has a lot of improvements that I really enjoy, and one particular quirk that is completely subjective and shouldn't be used to disregard this handgun at all, but I'll get into that soon. So we're going to go through this gun like I always do, front to back and top to bottom. But I want to talk about my relationship with Bersa. What is my relationship with Bersa? I don't have one with them at all. They didn't send me this gun for testing and evaluation. They didn't send me ammo, targets, nothing like that. All that stuff comes from myself and from my patrons. So, with that out of the way, let's get right into it. So, first and foremost, this has a 3.54 inch barrel, which is just slightly longer than the Walther PPK's 3.3 inch barrel. It does weigh 20 ounces. The PPK weighs 21, so it's already 1 ounce less than that. The sights are already better. They are a 3-dot variety, and it has a rear adjustable sight. So just before I start flagging the shit out of myself, let's clear this gun. Okay. It is unloaded, it is clear, it is safe. So the rear, or I should say the front sight, has a white dot on the front. The rear is adjustable with a 2-dot notch. It's adjustable for windage, not for elevation. The top of the slide actually is serrated or textured. That's to reduce glare. Really excellent job on that one. That checkering that they put there is fantastic. The hammer is the same thing. It is a ring type. It is serrated for traction. It is quite good. Easy to cock in a single action mode if you're interested in doing that. The next thing about this gun is the slide presentation is about the same as the Walther PPK. And again, this has a few improvements that I really like. So already you have better sights on this thing. The second thing that's already better is the extractor. It is significantly longer, and I like a longer extractor on my handguns for various different reasons, but mostly because they just tend to work better in my experience. The slide serrations are a little more open than they are on the Walther. They're not really deeper, but you get good traction on the gun as much as you do with the PPK, so that's really not a problem. There's not too much of a difference there, but they do work, so I wanted to note that. The opposite side has a couple of interesting features to it. First of all, it has a decocker safety, so just push that down, drops the hammer safely, and you're good to go. And then if you're going to carry it, I recommend just flipping that safety off, and then you have a double action, single action transition. Now, the beaver tail on the Bersa is slightly longer than it is on the PPK. It might not actually be longer than it is on this particular PPK, simply because Smith & Wesson, I guess, put longer ones on theirs, but it appears side by side to be slightly longer. Now, the huge feature on this gun that I really love more than I love about the Walther is this bad Larry has a slide lock slide release. The Walther does not. So there you go. When you reload, you just slap that thing down. It is serrated. It is out kind of far. It does protrude. It's very easy to grab. If you're left-handed, you can hit it with your index finger. If you're right-handed, you hit it with your thumb. It's absolutely beautiful. Not that you always need to use it, and I don't know if that's going to happen here, but I kind of want to show it off if I can get it to be done. During testing, we noticed that when slapping in a fully loaded magazine, if you really crank down on it, well, it didn't do it here, but when they're loaded, if you slap the mag in hard like that, it automatically drops the slide. So you don't even really need to press that slide lock a lot of times. Just slap the mag in and it'll drop on its own and it will chamber around. So that is excellent. The magazine release is similar to the PPK. The placement is almost identical. However, it is slightly larger, it protrudes a little bit more, and it is a little easier to actuate. That's just one improvement. Another improvement is the disassembly lever. It does have a dedicated disassembly lever, so you don't have to pull down the trigger guard or anything like that. And we'll get into that when I actually show disassembly. One thing I don't like, or a couple things I don't like. Number one is Bersas have this stupid key lock that Taurus also uses. And basically what that is, it's kind of like a handcuff key. You can stick it into this hole here and twist it, and that disables the entire firearm. So if you don't have a gun safe or something like that, you can use it to lock the gun up. My recommendation with that is to leave that fucking thing in the case and put the case in the closet and forget it even exists. Unless you need to have that where you live, don't ever use it. Because when you need this gun, now you gotta fiddle around with a stupid key and try to unlock the gun, and in the meantime there's a burglar with a machete in your house and he's trying to chop you off. So don't worry about using that thing at all. Just, if you're really concerned about safety and you have children in the house, I'm gonna jump here just a little bit. The gun does have a magazine disconnect, so no mag in the gun, it will not fire. So put this somewhere where the kids can't get it. Put this somewhere else, just where you can get it, the kids can't get it, other people don't know where it is, and if you hear a bump in the night, grab that loaded mag, put it right in there, and you're good to go. So let's talk about the trigger. It is a double action, single action trigger, and it is already volumes better than the Walther PPK trigger. It is much lighter, it is much smoother. All around, it just really is a better trigger. Now, the length of pull on it is definitely longer. As you can see, the trigger is much more forward in the trigger guard. By the way, this does have a Viridian red laser on it. No, it is not zeroed, and I haven't messed with it. But on the PPK, you can see that that trigger isn't as far forward. The trigger guard is also larger on the Bersa, so it's easier to get access to it if you have gloves on. However, the opening from the front of the trigger to the front strap on the trigger guard is much smaller, so it's really easy to get your trigger finger in there with gloves on if you're in single action, but in double action you may have some difficulty there. So let's just take a look at the trigger since I'm talking about it. It is serrated on the face, and it's not smooth unlike the Walthers, and let's just get right into it. So it's extremely smooth. There's like 2 millimeters of take up here. Then you start hitting that first wall, you start getting pressure. As you can see, that hammer is actuating. And it's like 8 or 9 pounds. It's very smooth. And then you don't necessarily hit a wall. It just kind of goes. There's a very, very light secondary wall right about here. And then it has a nice crisp break. Single action is extremely good. It's probably like 4 pounds. It's a pretty light single action trigger, and this does really, in combination with the rear adjustable sight, lead to excellent accuracy with this gun. It is more accurate than the Walther PPK, albeit only slightly more accurate. The grips are a polymer. They do have a safety cutout for that decocker safety to slide into. They do have good scalloping on both sides right here, and they are checkered below that scalloping. The frame has vertical serrations on the front strap as well as on the back strap of the gun. So right here you got some good texturing, and right there you have some good texturing. Not an issue at all. The grip is slightly larger than the PPK. As you can see, my hand fits just a little bit better than it does on the PPK. Ever so slightly more. It may not actually come through on camera because of how small my hands are, but this grip definitely fits my hand better, especially while shooting. It's beautiful. It really is. It's just a slight improvement. The magazine, This is another improvement over the Walther PPK. It does have a similar style of follower, however it's polymer, not metal. This is an 8-round magazine versus the Walther's 7-round. So this thing already has a ton of improvements. And by the way, magazines are great, super reliable, no issues there. So overall, when I compare these two side by side, you can see they're very similar guns. The Bersa is just slightly larger, but it has better sights, it has a better magazine release, it has a slide lock slide release, which this PPK doesn't have. It has a larger extractor, it weighs less, it holds more rounds, it has a better trigger, it has better texturing on the frame. It really is just an improved Walther PPK, and the best part is the price. A Walther PPK is going to run anywhere from $750 to $950 depending on the model that you get and who manufactured it. These Bersas run about $350 brand new. So one more round, less weight, better features, better value, and they're widely available. These things are extremely reliable guns. This is my brother's gun. It's on loan from him. Between the two of us, we have about 500, 600 rounds through this gun. Not a single failure of any type. So extremely reliable gun. I really do look at this and say this is what Walther should have done years ago, because the Walther PPK came out in 1931, if I recall. This gun came out in 1995, and there's no reason why Walther couldn't update the PPK. But they didn't, so here we are. Now, how accurate is it versus the PPK? Well, let's get right into that just before I get into disassembly. So here I have one of the better targets, if not the best target, from the PPK. And like I said before, it is a quite accurate gun. This thing is capable of 1-2 inch groups. That bottom one should be an excellent group. So no issues there, right? The PPK is accurate. Well, the Bersa is as accurate or more accurate with the PPK. Now, it's important to note here, finding ammo is a bitch. And so when I looked for ammo, I couldn't really find any at my local gun shops, no matter how hard I tried here. I ended up basically scrounging up rounds between my dad and my brother, and one of the local gun shops actually has a little bin of just loose rounds that they find from time to time, or they load from time to time. So it's assorted rounds, and I dug through that thing, which sucked. But I was able to come out with about a half a box of mixed loads. So that's what I use for the testing. Just having a hard time finding ammo, you guys. So I used mixed loads through the Bersa, same protocol, 7-yard standing, 2 shooters. And here is just some of the accuracy I got out of this. So this is Nora. These are actually Winchester 95 grain rounds. The rest are mixed loads, as I mentioned. And you can see that the accuracy is about the same as it was with the PPK. You're seeing about 2.5 inch groups. And then if you're really lucky, you're going to see better groups than that. So here is me. I believe this is me. Yep. Oh no, this is Nora again. 7 yards, mixed loads out of the Bersa. And I'd like to point out something before I show you the target. The Bersa was extremely accurate with mixed loads, which is important to note because typically you get consistency between shot to shot with factory loads of the same variety. So if you shoot Winchester, or you shoot Remington, or you shoot Federal, when you shoot those rounds, you're going to get really consistent performance. When you have mixed loads, you could have a wide variety of performance. So you could have one round right where you want it, and then one round like 3 to 4 inches away because it's performing different. Despite that fact, the Bersa is pretty damn accurate, and I am really impressed with it. I think in the last target, some of you guys are really going to shit your pants because it is absolutely incredible. Now, you may notice that a lot of these shots went to the right. I'm just going to mention right now that that gun is zeroed for my brother, so he's the one who sighted it in for him. as he's the owner and primary shooter. So that's why you're seeing these rounds go to the right. But look at this target. So, you know, that's like a 2-inch group. That's about a 2.5-inch group. You got a couple right next to each other right there, and then you got one flyer. So you're at like 2.5. But again, this is mixed loads, me standing. Look at that group. Okay, that is really representative of the accuracy that you can get out of this gun with a skilled shooter. That is a 1/2-inch group, 7 yards standing. Absolutely incredible. Very well made gun. And I do really like it a lot, except for one little thing that I told you I was going to mention, and it's completely subjective. Since this gun is a little lighter, but it still is a direct blowback gun, and that beaver tail is a little longer, what happens to me is when I'm shooting it, this edge right there on the grip, that rests right here on my hand, on that lower knuckle. And this, being a direct blowback gun with an alloy frame, transfers a lot of energy, and what ends up happening is that wraps that knuckle really hard when I'm shooting, and it stings like a bitch. So despite how well I shot with the gun, I really do hate shooting this gun. That's completely subjective. That's not an issue with my brother. It's not an issue with Nora. It's not an issue with my dad. It hasn't been an issue with anybody who shot this gun besides me. So that's completely subjective. But you might have similar hands to me, and you might want to worry about it. So I would say if you get the opportunity to test fire this gun before you purchase it, if you decide to purchase it, which I do encourage you to do, definitely test fire it to make sure that's not an issue for you. Now we'll get into disassembly, because we hit reliability, we hit accuracy. This disassembly lever is just like any other disassembly lever, except it's a direct blowback gun. So it's a little interesting. So what you can do is just, I like to push it down with my thumb, like that, when I go to disassemble it. So remove your magazine, double check, make sure your safety is off so your hammer stays cocked. Gun safety is important, make sure this thing is clear. Then depress that with your thumb. And then what I like to do here is just, while that lever is held forward or down, whatever you want to call it, I pull the slide back, up, and it comes right off. Now the milling on this gun is also quite impressive. I'm not sure if this is going to come through, but as you can see, there's really, if you can see it, there's really no machining marks. It's actually very, very smooth, and it's well finished. Same thing on the frame here. Oh, I forgot to mention that outside trigger linkage is one of the only other things that I don't really like about it, but that shows up on the Beretta 92 series of guns, and they're absolutely reliable. So is this one, so it hasn't been an issue. I just don't like it. But yeah, as you can see, the milling on this gun is excellent. There's no machining marks or anything like that. And even though these metal on metal guns, reassembly is the same thing, or I should say the opposite, push the lever down, throw it on, you're good to go. Yeah, there's these metal on metal guns a lot of times require a break-in period. This one didn't. We took it out to the range, we shot it, it's been 100% reliable, brand new out of the box, and we did get the package deal where it came with the laser for $350. So that's pretty good overall. I think the gun is excellent, and they make a lot of different models of this gun. They make them in stainless steel, they make a concealed carry one with a shorter beaver tail, low profile sights. They make what they call a combat model. It has finger grooves with a wraparound grip and fixed iron sights. They also make what's called, they call the Plus series. And it is slightly thicker. It has a double stack frame, holds 15 +1 rounds of .380. So that is really, really impressive. And I think I just turned the laser on accidentally. But yeah, these are just extremely well-made guns. They're, you know, consumer and budget friendly. They're very reliable. They're very accurate. They're very compact. Several women have shot this gun that I know. They love it. So a female shooter is, take note, you're going to love this gun. I highly, highly recommend it. Now before I go, of course, you know I have to do my thing here. We are like PBS here at Ghost Raptor Gaming and Guns. We are supported in part by viewers like you, and that means supporting me on Patreon. So Patreon is a service that you can subscribe to for just $1 a month. That money can go to me, and that money goes directly to the project. It goes for ammunition, it goes for firearms, it goes for targets, it goes for games, so I can do playthroughs and all the gaming videos that you guys like to see. And I'm really trying to get more involved in the style I did with the Ruger New Vaquero, because I know you guys really like that video. So a little bit of gaming footage to show you a gun. Hey, here's the gun that was used in that game. Let's check it out. I'm trying to do that. So, you know, I really need the support. And for my patrons who already have signed up, I really, really appreciate your support. It has helped me so much in the past few months here. So if you like this content and you haven't signed up for Patreon, go ahead, just Google Ghost Raptor Gaming and Guns. Like literally the first 4 results are all different things for me. It's the YouTube channel, it's the Facebook, and it's the Patreon. So you can find it there. If not, hop over to Patreon and search Ghost Raptor Gaming and Guns. If you're still struggling with that for whatever reason, I'm going to have a link in the description as always. I'll also probably have a link to Bersa's website on this gun. If there's anything that I missed that you guys want to check out, you can find that information over there. Other than that, I am done here. This has been Aaron with Ghost Raptor Gaming and Guns, and you guys have a great day.